Well, hi, everybody. My name is AJ Willoughby. Glad to have you back with us on another Monday evening for the product training call. AJ Willoughby and Dr. Fred Templeman. For those that don't know, Dr. Fred Templeman is the head of the Scientific and Medical Advisory Board for M Network. He is the foremost authority on the mangosteen fruit, and which is the main ingredient in our CoreAO, and is also infused in some of the other products that we have. And he is also one of the most knowledgeable men and doctors that there is on the planet when it comes to botanicals and how they all mix together and what it is they do for you. And he's just an all-around, incredible doctor, incredible man and good friend. And we are so glad to have him here with us at M Network. Tonight, we are going to give you a glimpse of our entire product line and a little bit of what they do, and just to go on, just as far as what's the big deal about the M products. What is it that makes them tick? What is it that helps them make you tick? And what you need to know about it whenever you're out there saying, hey, we got a great product line. What is it? Well, I don't know. Tonight, you're going to find out. That's what we're going to talk about. So, Dr. Templeman, welcome to the call. So glad you're with us. Why don't we go on ahead and let's just jump right in. You ready?
I'm ready to go when you are, AJ.
All right. So tell you what, I know this is your absolute favorite, so I'm going to hold off on it.
Okay.
We're going to start off with the Go. Now, the Go Stick, this is your go-to. This is the one that gives you the energy, gives you the pep, without the jitters and without all that stuff that Red Bull and Monster drinks and all those kind of things do you, that this gives you your energy. Dr. Templeman, give us a little bit more in depth as to what we're looking at with the Go.
Well, most of the stuff that's out there on the markets, you could look at as energy from coal in the sense that it's dirty. All right. It has a lot of things you don't need. It has much more than most ordinary people require in order to be able to get a boost of energy, to be able to give them some mental and physical push to be going. So I like to think that our Go, is the equivalent of wind and solar power in the energy supplement business. It is clean and it is safe. There's nothing in there that's dangerous. In the Go, the things that we have that are nootropics and energy lending are clean. The commonest things that people use, but in forms, 3 different forms that are from nature, so that when the body sees the stimulants that are in our Go, it reads food. It does not read artificial drug. And that's extremely important because that's the greatest difference between this particular product and everything else that's out there. They all use synthetic caffeine, which the body regards as a drug, which it tries to get rid of as quickly as it can. And therefore you get this spike in energy, but the crash that inevitably follows. And so with the kind of slow, clean released energy, and again, think solar, wind power of the supplement energy environment, we are providing something that does not harm the adrenals, that is not going to cause you to have to take it many times a day, and has no deleterious effects, and would be the only product that I would endorse, because I'm certainly not a proponent of the energy drinks that are out there on the market. They just aren't healthy. It's simple.
Absolutely. And that's we've had people that have been on our call here on Monday nights that have given testimonies of how their life has been changed from getting off all that basically poison stuff that you're putting in your body, with all that stuff that you get from the convenience stores, all those other energy drink kind of things that are out there. And the thing is, price-wise, this costs less than what you'd spend on one of those drinks, with Monster drink or Red Bull or, 5 Hour, whatever it is, all those. This, you're going to spend less money on this than you will that. And this is better for you and good for you. So that's
and it works. We've got lots and lots of testimonials from people telling us that they moved away from an energy drink habit that was highly unhealthy to something that allows them now to feel comfortable and safe when they boost their energy.
So now, before we go to our next product, you mentioned a word that's going to come up a lot with our next two products that we're going to talk about. And you mentioned it about the go, and that is the word nootropics. Give us a very brief definition. What does nootropic mean?
Well, nootropics came on the scene approximately 15 years ago. These were largely brought to the experimental stage by the Defense Department because they were hoping to be able to have soldiers, and particularly high performance soldiers such as the pilots of jet aircraft, be able to extend the range of duration of their ability to think clearly when they were asked to sometimes work much, much longer than would be ideal. You know that in the commercial jet industry, you're only allowed to fly a certain number of hours. And then after that, you must not operate an airplane. Well, unfortunately, in the armed forces and in wartime and in circumstances of duress, these rules cannot apply. And so we had to have our astronauts, our pilots sharp. And so the government began to experiment with products, some of them as old as caffeine. Caffeine, of course, is the nootropic that 90% of people in the world have experimented with or is in a drink that they use. Caffeine and the other nootropics, they are going to be extremely important for people who are trying to get peak performance intellectually, not necessarily as much physically as you would with the go, but there is physical energy with nootropics. So nootropics are things which affect the brain, which allow the neurotransmitters that are required for moving information from one brain cell to another to remain in high supply, even though the activity which would normally deplete them is being carried on for much longer than would standardly be the rule. And we have, if you went and looked online, you'll see the term stack with nootropics, because nobody in the business uses one single product for nootropics. They will stack them. And when you look at the stacks that are out there and then you pull around the end of your box of Soul and Go, not Soul and Go, but Soul and Smart principally, but also to some degree Go, you will see the same ingredients that are in these stacks, which cost many, many times more. Are they effective? Absolutely. We have folks who have had real problems with anxiety, low-grade depression, just feeling that your get up and go has gone up and went, and you cannot do what you would ordinarily have wanted to do, and you need to perform, whether it be in the classroom or in front of a group of folks where you may be speaking or presenting. And so you take these and get a mental boost exactly in the same way that a fighter pilot would take these same nootropics in different stacks and be able to maintain the kind of excellence of control, hand-eye coordination, and intellectual capacity and execution that they require to operate this multi-million-dollar plane that is so complex and to carry out the different functions involved in warfare. So that's where it came from. It went from the military to Silicon Valley, where the CEOs began to use it because they had, it's a competitive place out there and they need the edge. And so they were using that a great deal. My son, who is an executive in that industry, has been using nootropics for years, and they are just now coming into general use in the population, and you will find products on the shelves of your supermarket that have nootropic imitations, if you wish, but they are 5, 6, 7 times more expensive than what you would find in a single stick of Go and core and soul. And you can stack those three if you really have a hurdle to get over. I know my kids do these crazy endurance, I can't remember the name of it. It's an ugly mudder or a dirty mudder or whatever it is, but they crawl under barbed wire. They go over fences, they climb ropes, they run, and they all load up on nootropics prior to being able to go out there and give 110%.
When one of the major ones that has a lot of these nootropics in it is one that I'll tell you, college students love this stick, and especially when they're getting ready for exams. And we have a lot of senior citizens that are doing this. This SMART is what we're talking about now, which is something that really helps with that brain power. And a lot of senior citizens, a lot of people that are concerned just about brain function and wanting to make sure they're giving their brain all the right nutrition that it can have to help fire everything up. Tell us a little bit more about the SMART. Obviously, we get some energy from it, and it helps us think better, but what else?
Well, when you think about what happens with aging, memory is the first thing that disappears. And there, you can end up with a bit of a confetti memory pretty early on in life. So in your fifth and sixth decades, you may well be struggling to be able to call things to mind. You will have something on your mind. You will be saying, it's on the tip of my tongue. I just know it's there. And truly enough, if you sit for a while, it will come. But it's the immediacy of recall that isn't possible. And that's because of a decline in what are called neurotransmitters. These are products that the body makes principally from tryptophan, which is an amino acid that's out there that's fairly plentiful, but which is supplemented as well. And these elements are responsible for the transmission of electrical signals, electrochemical signals from the axons to the dendrites of the brain synapse. Now, normally there's also a degradation so that as you age, you produce fewer, and the ones that you do produce are disappearing more rapidly. And in the SMART, there is an ingredient which is called huperzine that in some countries is in drug status. In other words, it's not available for supplementation. But here in the United States, we can use it in our product. And what it does is it prolongs the half-life of all of these neurotransmitters by slowing down the degradation and the speed with which they are removed from existence in the brain. Now, this is not only a brain situation, because if you can imagine all nerves throughout the body, even in the peripheral nervous system, are working with electricity moving from one neuron to the next to carry information for contraction, for sensation, etc. But it is the brain that is most affected. Now, normally brain supply in the elderly, those who may be already experiencing clinical symptoms of dementia, and it is not just Alzheimer's, there are other types of dementia as well. Folks who do not have enough blood getting to their brain may be really quite bright when they first wake up in the morning, but as the day progresses, they begin to sundown. That's what we call it. It's called sundowning. And it means that their mental acuity simply declines. And these folks are not hurting themselves by taking these supplements, which will cause a prolongation of the elements that their brains are short on later in the afternoon, and their recall can be better. We cannot make claims that it is there to treat dementia, but what we can say is that if you want to try it and see what the effect is that you might have, if you happen to be in the age groups where memory is a bit of a problem, where you have a loved one, for example, who may have a diagnosis of dementia, and you want to see what you can do to help, those products are there. However, I would mention sincerely and very importantly that the mangosteen in the core has many studies indicating that the body uses it to help protect against the declining function in the brain neurons that is associated with, these are mostly animal models, nonetheless, the evidence is valid. And so the mangosteen in the core being a regular daily dose, if not one, then at least two, perhaps for someone who has a diagnosis, along with the soul and the smart, are going to probably allow them to maximize what they can do with a nutritional assist, because it isn't medicine, but it certainly is a nutritional assist, provide what the brain requires in order to function effectively and give the body sufficient reserves of those elements, and you do generally see results.
Wonderful. All right, so moving to our next product, and we're going to get to core. I know you keep jumping to core. We're going to get to core in a minute. But our next product we're going to talk about now is Soul. Now, that's our other in the nootropics that we talk about. That this is, as my wife Jill puts it, this is the glass of wine you can have at work. This is the one that helps. If we don't say any of our products cure anything, but we have made claims that this product will help cure a marriage because it just helps calm. This is your mood enhancement. This is the one that makes you feel good all over. Dr. Templeman, tell us a little bit more about the Soul.
Well, when you look at the ingredients in the Soul, what you will see is that these ingredients are largely across the board stimulatory. So while it is effective in combination with the smart for most of the complaints that folks have about brain fog or problems like this, the Soul is in fact energizing. But it is energizing not so much on the physical basis as it is on the mental basis. So that when you feel low, slow, down in the dumps, you're not in a clinical depression per se, but you may have days or times of days when you are not able to kind of crank up what you require in terms of mood. And so you feel sad, blue. Those kinds of feelings can be alleviated nutritionally by taking something that is going to, again, provide for the body what it requires. And in the new product that we are, because I can't tell you exactly whether it's out there or not, I think maybe in the hands of some people, we have the same thing that we put into the new core, which is called bioperine. And that's very important because nutrients are generally poorly absorbed from the gut. Everything that you take in, either as a supplement or as a component of food, only 1 to 5% of those desirable elements are going to be picked up because the body simply can't digest them easily into particles that are small enough to cross the gut, get into the bloodstream, and be accessible for use inside the cells, which is where all of the metabolic processes of the body virtually exclusively take place. So we can't do that very effectively. But the bioperine, which is a black pepper extract of fairly recent development, will increase the bioavailability from 25 in some products up to 45%. Now, that's striking because literally it means that what you used to get from a stick or any given amount of a supplement, you now get almost twice as much in the new preparation. So energizing for the brain, pick up in combination with other things for physical and mental acuity.
Awesome. All right, so let's move to another segment here of our product line, and that is the weight loss category. And we've got two products here, actually. We've got the Trim, which is appetite control, and we've also got the Burn, which is kind of like a thermogenic, but they also kind of work together. You can do them separately, or you can take them together. Tell us a little bit about the differences and what it is that the Burn and Trim do, because we are seeing so many people that are getting such incredible results losing weight by using these two products. How come?
I was over this morning at the warehouse and I saw literally the largest kind of box that you would see in a Costco underneath the counter that people might put groceries in. Those without the slatted sides, I saw 8 of these boxes going out to a tanning company where they attach them to a bottle of water, and the trim and the burn are the 2 products that they use, because folks who are going into tanning salons are generally doing so because they're very, very aware of appearance and physical function. So they want to be able to get rid of the unwanted pounds, possibly accumulated because of bad diet. It's very, very difficult to maintain adequate control of your weight when you are not eating properly. And unfortunately, most of our society here in North America eats poorly. So the trim is something that you can use several times a day if you need to get a suppressing. Now, depending on how sensitive you are to natural caffeines, you may have to decide what time of day would be the last time that you could take a trim without infringing on your sleep in the evening. Well, we'll talk about sleep in a few minutes. But if you are able to do that, you can use 2 or 3 of these a day and not be putting yourself under any excessive load of stimulants. Now, with the thermogenic, there isn't an awful lot that we can do without being physically exerting ourselves as far as heavy energy is concerned, energy expenditure. So either on a treadmill, on a stair stepper, or perhaps lifting weights. Short of doing that, it's very difficult to increase the thermogenesis, or the rate at which energy is expended in the body. But there are products which do it. There are ingredients that do it. They are in the burn. And they maximize that so that when you are working out on a regular basis or exercising even as little as 20 minutes a day walking, you're going to see a very strong synergistic response that will allow you to drop the pounds that you don't need. Now, when you lose weight, let me suggest that it should be done in a calculated and a monitored way. The body, unfortunately, is exposed to toxic loads from the food that we eat, which is contaminated, from the air which we breathe, and from the fluids of the water, in most cases, that we drink. Contains many, many contaminants. And these are largely mobilized by the liver to get them out of the body, but there is a surfeit of these products that have these contaminants, and the body cannot get rid of them all. So protocol, regardless of what it is, you're going to be burning the fat in your body. You're going to be mobilizing all of these elements, which is why it's extremely important during weight loss to make sure that hydration is maximized, because water is the solvent that is going to pick up most of these things and carry them out of the body in the urine. And you should lose your weight at approximately 1 pound to 2 pounds per week. Now, I've heard and seen people losing weight at a rate of 1 pound a day. Not what I would recommend. It's not terribly dangerous in terms of the metabolic load that you may be putting on your body, but it is dangerous because you're going to be mobilizing these elements which have been stored in fat, and particularly if you're losing a great deal of weight, you do not want that to happen rapidly. So measure, work using the SMART as prescribed. It is the one product that I would say out there that you do not simply decide how much you want. You take it as prescribed, as the way that it is described on the bottle, what a dosage would be for a normal person. Do not exceed that dosage. But as you decrease your body weight, you're going to be decreasing the risks for cancer, the risks for heart disease, the risks for joint and muscle problems. If exercise and, could have been put into a drug, it would have been the most expensive drug there is. So exercise should be a part of your weight loss protocol, but nobody can carry on forever being hungry. And therefore, this is what I consider a crutch for during the time of your active weight loss, when you are trying to keep yourself from wanting to, where you splatter the grease beside you want to lick the wallpaper. So you've got to be careful that you can manage your appetite, literally. And that's what these two products are for. One of them is a sledgehammer. The other one is, a smaller tool made to be used many times in the day, if that's the way it works for you.
All right, so here's your sledgehammer, and here's your maintaining throughout the day. So use them appropriately, but they work. All right, let's move on to the next. Now we've got, and I know we're going to get to your favorite one here in a minute, but before we do, let's talk about our products we've got in the M Labs. Here's what we have in the M Labs. This is something that is set up for our members to be able to help determine whether these are products that are going to actually come out into the field and be an official M Members Network product that we will have with new labeling and everything. And one of them that's in there right now is 8-in-1, which 8-in-1, this is a cream that you put on your head. Obviously, it doesn't taste good. You don't want to eat this, but it is something that makes a difference in how you look. And it really does work. Everything from toning to
cleansing to exfoliating, 8 different functions all in one.
Yeah, I love it. I put it on my head. It works. My wife, of course, she puts it on her face. And we've even seen people that have used this stuff on calluses on their feet and everything. So tell us about the 8-in-1, Dr. Templeman.
Well, the 8-in-1 is has been devised in order to be able to be used all over the body. Now, I'm not certain that people are really interested in improving the appearance of, well, maybe their legs and their belly, possibly, but it's usually for areas that are seen. So it's an excellent hand cream. It hydrates and it exfoliates depending on how you use it. It's going to hydrate no matter how you use it, but it will exfoliate only if you let it partially dry and liquefy and then begin to get tacky, and then you roll it. And it's like liquid Velcro. It will pick up the skin that is ready to slough off the epidermis. And when you think about how much skin we lose, we are constantly shedding. We're not like snakes where the whole skin comes off, but we're constantly shedding skin. And when they've analyzed, for example, the fine dust that you find under beds, it's about 90% human skin cells. So we're constantly sloughing these off, and being able to remove them with a regularity from the face and from the hands and from areas that are seen is going to bring a brightness to the skin that normally is not there, because as this extra epidermis lays out there, it's a dead layer. It is not a live layer. It has a function of protection, but it will also dull the appearance of skin, and it can make problems with wrinkles and accumulation of oil, etc. So this is a product that I remember when we had our testimonials, we had this fellow who from Australia had 8 surgeries, because the Australians are unfortunately exposed to much more sunlight than we are. And so skin cancers over there are rampant. And he had had skin cancers removed 8 times in his life from his face. And he had been experiencing what is called solar aging on his face. And the skin was becoming thick. It was becoming red. The blood vessels were coming to the surface. And there were numerous problems that dealt with appearance. Now, he was able to use this and leave it on. He puts it on once a day. Like most men, he probably doesn't take the time to sort of rub it and exfoliate it. But when you do rub it, by the way, on your face or on your hands, you are doing something that is equivalent to a massage, a facial massage. And so there is benefit in stimulating the blood supply to the subcutaneous tissue to replace the collagen, to replace the elastin, to build out the elements which decline with age. And it makes a significant difference in fine lines and wrinkles if used regularly. Some people choose to use it twice a day. I do not use it twice a day. I use it once a day, and I don't exfoliate at that time. Every other day I exfoliate, but I will leave it on because I do a little bit of a scrub in the shower with a very mild cleanser as well. So I remove the vestiges of what is there. A lot of ladies will use cleansers and they don't use water on their face to the same extent. Men love soap, but there isn't a good thing in soap, quite frankly. I also love soap. I've got some made of beeswax. Ryan Anderson's mom makes this soap from her own bees hives, and it's really incredible. It smells great, and it feels good, and it tastes good, and I love it. But soap is a very secondary sort of product that does a great job on most of the parts of the body, but really is not necessary for the face of the hands. And so when you are using this regularly, you're going to hydrate, you're going to exfoliate, you're going to stimulate through a massage type work on the facial tissues. And in fact, there are 8 things that are listed. And without going to a list, I can't recall them all, but that's why it's called 8-in-1. We're determining at the present time, it's coming towards the closing months of its time in the lab. So we'll have to determine whether it is commercially viable. Does it work? Yes, we know that it works. Is it going to be able to sell enough for us to be able to have it as an SKU in our regular list of products? That is to be determined. That's the reason why we have the lab. So this plus the other products in the lab are going to be evaluated as to their commercial viability. And depending on what you, the customer, says, we will either have them as permanent additions to our product line, or we will not.
And the way that you can do and assure if you have a product that's in the labs that you want to make sure comes out, the way you vote on that is by purchasing the product as members, because it's not necessarily always available to sell on a retail standpoint yet. The MLabs products usually are just for members, so that's where it is that we've got to see those votes come in, is through the orders and then the reorders after that. So, and I know, and we're not going to get into, because we're going to get into the mangosteen here in a minute, but the number 1 ingredient is mangosteen infused water. So as far as a healing compound, what it does, getting that mangosteen just going externally and soaking into your body is a big difference too. So let's move on to our next product. And I know a lot of people are loving this. This is going viral, and that is the M3Z. This is our sleep aid, and a lot of people getting incredible results from that, from anywhere from, depending on your need, between 3 to 4 squirts to 7 to 8 squirts in your mouth, under the tongue, or just in your mouth, and it actually tastes good. It's a very, very slight mint flavor, very, very slight. Otherwise, you almost wonder, is it water? But there is a slight mint flavor to it. And this stuff really works to help you get a really good night's sleep. And it does so much more than that. It helps with anxiety and other things. Dr. Templeman, tell us a little bit about M3Z, which is another MLabs product.
So there are 7 things for which it can be used. Some of those range as far afield as sexual prowess. Now, I'm not suggesting it's going to make anybody who's ugly beautiful, but it will allow those of you who are in a relationship to perhaps see a difference in both sex drive and performance. Now, with the product, it is the one product that I think has shown the greatest variability across population. We have a couple of our very prominent distributors who use this product 6 and 7 times a day. Every time that you spray this in your mouth, you are releasing particles which are so small that they do not need to go through the digestive tract to get into the bloodstream. They pass immediately through the mucosa of the mouth, either under the tongue or in the mouth itself, or even in the esophagus, because you swallow what is left. But you get that delivery within seconds. It is in the bloodstream. And effects, therefore, the onset of effects are very rapid, measured in minutes, not necessarily in hours. But the effect persists for hours. And in the randomized controlled double-blind trial, which was done to determine its effect in sleep, it not only helped with the onset of sleep, meaning sleep latency, the period of time from when your head goes on the pillow to when you're in dreamland, and not only that, but also the quality of sleep. So the number of awakenings that happen as you move through your cycle of the different sleep levels, and that normally takes an hour and a half. And in poor sleep, people wake up about every 90 minutes. They come to the surface, and they may even have to get up, go to the bathroom if there's a prostate involved. And that is something which leads to a feeling of less than full restoration in the following day. So sleep interruptions declined strikingly. The onset for sleep was great. The quality of sleep, which is judged by how you feel the next day, or it may in fact be judged by wearing a Fitbit or an iWatch that is going to record the various stages of sleep. And we did have some testimonials from folks with those kind of assists that showed that they were able to multiply many times the amount of stage 3 sleep, which is the deepest level of sleep, and during which the immune system is recharged, during which proteins are rebuilt, during which very serious structural activity is going on in the body. Increasing that level of sleep means that you're going to stay younger, literally, because you're going to be restoring things. And that is the level of sleep that disappears most rapidly from the sleep patterns of the elderly. REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, and they classify sleep into two categories, non-REM sleep and REM sleep. And REM sleep is extremely important because it's the discharge of everything that went on in the mind during the day. It's kind of, you go through what was there and your body decides, your brain decides, what am I going to retain from all of the brain activity that I had today? And so the REM sleep, which is largely the sleep during which you dream, is extremely important to good health. In experiments where they have deprived people of REM sleep, they find that they lose their ability to concentrate during the day. They are not fully awake and aware. So REM sleep is key. And once again, being able to increase REM sleep, which is what the randomized controlled trial showed occurred, is extremely important. Now, there will be people in the bulk of the population who are going to be like I am. When I take this product at night before I go to sleep, I don't take it, by the way, because it makes my dreams very, very vivid, very, very vivid. Now, if those dreams are great, that's wonderful. But if they're not always great, and I usually end up trying to help a patient and being frustrated at every term in my dreams. And sometimes I will just literally yell out, literally say, wake up, this is only a dream. So I use it in the daytime, and I use it for anxiety because I used to have a little green pill that I used, a supplement that I used for years that I called my what the hell pill. Things that ordinarily would irritate me when I took that pill did not irritate me. When that went out of circulation and was no longer available to me, I needed to find something that I could use just as quickly and get an onset of action that was very, very rapid. And that's what the spray does for me. So if I'm going to a family function, you can bet I'm going to load up on that spray because 37 grandkids and all the people that get invited, sometimes it can be fraying on the nerves. And you want to be bright, you want to carry on. So for me, it has a paradoxical reaction, which means that when I take it, it actually brightens me up, but calms me down. Not dissimilar to the effect that I get with Sol. but it's virtually immediate for me. So this product, with its 7 usage patents, wonderful in my opinion.
And so with 36 grandkids, obviously your kids are doing a lot of M3Z. That libido is really getting affected. So anyways, yeah, we're going to make this call quick because my wife is in the other room. So moving on now, we've gone through our M Labs, we've gone through those, and our last product here is, I know this is your absolute favorite product that we have, and because of the power that's behind this one, the one that we get the most results as far as people talking about and seeing so many things happen, and that is our CoreAO. And this CoreAO, AO stands for antioxidant. This thing is so much more than just an antioxidant. This is a super antioxidant and more that will just everything from your immune system to antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It helps in so many ways. Dr. Templeman, tell us about CoreAO and why is it, which we know mangosteen is the #1 thing about it, but there's so many other things about this. What makes CoreAO good?
Well, there are 8 antioxidants, including the mangosteen, that are in them. By quantitation, the mangosteen is by far the greatest amount. And that is the reason that I came to M, because I have been following the mangosteen. I was involved in exposing it to commercial exploitation years ago in its first form. And I replaced 17 medications in my medical practice with the mangosteen preparation that I had at the time. And this one is better. It has none of the sugars that was in the other one. It is not expensive. It is at the range that anybody can buy it and use it. And it was my desire forever to be able to get a mangosteen product that was effective and that would also be available to anyone who had enough money to pay for cigarettes, for example. It is not expensive. I use it multiple times a day. And the effects that I feel from it are largely what I would call anti-aging effects. Certainly, I managed to get through a year without having to have vaccines. And I don't really get sick as far as upper respiratory tract infections are concerned. I do very well for an old guy. And I attribute it entirely to the fact that I use this product with the numerous ingredients that are in it. I mean, elderberry, acai, grapeseed extract, bilberry extract, cranberry extract, astragalus, the probably one of the 7 most important Chinese herbs, green tea, and then of course we have the bioperin in this as well. There isn't a product like this anywhere in the world. This product stands out as the preeminent mangosteen product in the world. It's the best that you can get. It has the greatest amount of this marvelous ingredient called mangosteen. And people with chronic illnesses who are not using this are not giving their body everything that it requires. The science goes on. 4 papers appear in PubMed virtually on a monthly basis, showing new and important changes in only one of the 5 classes of major polyphenols that are in this plant, the xanthones. But there are catechins, proanthocyanidins, there are many different categories, all with documented human value. But this category, which exists only in this supplement, is being researched by the preeminent scientists of the world today, and it has already given rise to 2 drugs, and it will give rise to many more in the future.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, Dr. Templeman, thank you so much. And we've gone through, and I know we've gone over our time today, but the product line we have with M is so incredible and so powerful. Getting through it all is hard to do in a real quick kind of a thing, but we managed to get through them all and gave everyone some great information. And I know a lot of people have a lot of other questions about these, more specific. And last week we did a frequently asked questions call. And you'll be able to find a lot of your questions that you might have will be answered on that call. If you go back, here's where you can find the recorded calls. You can go and on YouTube, go to the M Network YouTube channel, and you'll find the history of all these calls. You'll also find some of them at empowerplan.com, and also the last week's worth of calls. The most current one you'll find at mnetworkcalls.com. So 3 different places there that you can find the calls, and you can go to the frequently asked questions call to find your questions about a lot of the things that we covered today, and about age groups and children and different things like that. So we've got things covered. Thank you so much, Dr. Templeman. I think we've gone through everything. You got anything else left to add here?
No, if some people have serious concerns about disease and would like to know what I would recommend as supplements, I am available by telephone, by email, by text to answer those questions.
All right, so we're going to make that offer, but then you got to give some information. So email address, Dr. Templeman at m.network. That's the best email address, correct?
That is correct. And the telephone number is 801-369-3653. If you don't remember that, your upline will know it. Call them, they'll give it to you.
Absolutely. And Dr. Templeman does a great job of responding to everybody. Sometimes you may have to give him a day or two, but he does get back to you, and he does make sure that he gets your questions answered. And it is so fantastic for us to have him on board, and the credibility that he brings and the power that he brings to M Network is just phenomenal. And so we are so appreciative of that. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Don't forget, tomorrow night, at the same time, we're going to have another call. It'll be the product or the business, corporate business training call, and some corporate announcements that happen from time to time. And then also on Thursday nights, we have the CAT call, and where you get more business training. And then on Saturday mornings, you've got Dennis Ligon and Dennis and Sue, who do the corporate training, business training call that you get a chance to hear. You can find out about all those, again, at some of those same websites, mnetworkcalls.com or empowerplan.com. Go to the calendar there, and that's where you get the information on where you can find the calls and what's going on, so you can be in the loop and know what's happening. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all next week.